Man, Boruto Chapter 66. Like, where do I even start with this chapter? This chapter was great. A great start to the year. This chapter definitely kicked off the build up over the past couple of months with this whole Kawaki and Code arc thing that's going on. And wow, the Borushiki versus Kawashiki fight was amazing. And I kind of figured that that Kawaki had was going to be a Shiki's dojutsu. It was kind of the only thing that really made sense. And I do remember making a video about that a couple months ago. And I like that kind of lined up with my idea of that Kawaki would eventually get a Shiki's dojutsu. But I think in this chapter in particular, we're finally getting a clear vision of just how insane Kawaki is. Not insane as like he's insane like power wise, right? Like the way he thinks is kind of insane. Kawaki is not the typical person who kind of goes by order and direction. Kawaki is more so he does whatever he wants to do, and because he's so obsessed with Naruto, he's doing things like impaling Boruto, which in itself sounds insane, right? Completely ignoring what Naruto wants and doing what he thinks is best for the Hokage. Now, that in itself builds up a very unhealthy relationship between the two, and it almost makes it seem like Naruto's not capable of defending himself, and Kawaki thinks that he is doing everything in the best interest for Naruto. That can get very dangerous, because what if we're in situations to where Kawaki's now hurting people Naruto cares about because he thinks that it's the best thing for him? Let's say he gets into an argument with Shikamaru, right? Shikamaru and Kawaki get into it, and let's say Kawaki doesn't agree with how Shikamaru's handling something. Kawaki's just gonna like kill him or something, right? So it's getting very dangerous to where we can kind of see Kawaki slowly going over the edge. And to be honest, he kind of resembles Ishiki in a little bit because of the way he's been acting recently. And that might be like a side effect of getting some of that DNA from Ishiki. You know, he didn't get taken over by Ishiki, but it might be a thing to where slowly Ishiki's personality is sort of morphing with Kawaki's, and he's getting some of his bad traits or whatnot. But I'm not too sure. I just think that the relationship that Kawaki and Naruto have right now is very dangerous, because during that whole entire scene, Kawaki did not listen to a single word that Naruto said, which is kind of crazy, right? You're telling the Hokage, the 7th Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki, that I'm doing what's best for you. That is crazy to me, and the fact that Kawaki is doing that is definitely a reason for concern. But man, the way Naruto was in this chapter and sort of just at a standstill, right? He's like, what do I do? I got Kawaki over here attacking Boruto, and you know, Naruto's trying his best not to step in because a situation with Shikamaru, and if he steps in, Ko's like, I'm gonna kill him, but that turns out that Ko didn't actually keep his promise. But Kawaki's going against Boruto, and there's even a scene to where I'll talk about later to where Naruto could have potentially stepped in and saved Boruto, but it is kind of interesting how, you know, Naruto's sort of suppressing and holding back and not even really trying to stop anything here, which I thought was very interesting. That, you know, he has like a lot of power, and I'm pretty sure that Naruto would be able to stop Kawaki if he wanted to, but it kind of seems like he's not handling the situation the best, and I don't blame him, right? It's a very sticky situation. You gotta worry about Code and Shikamaru. You got your son being taken over. You got Kawaki getting buck wild, and he's handling this all by himself without Kirama. I can't blame him for that. But, you know, even with this new Sage mode that he's supposed to have, I'm just kind of curious when we're actually going to see what that can do, or how strong he is with the Sage mode. Maybe next chapter Naruto will fight or something similar to that, but I'm not exactly sure what exactly is the plan for that. But let's just quickly go over the chapter a little bit and discuss, you know, some of the things that happen. Most of it is fight scenes, but I'll go into a little bit of detail into some of those and break down the ones that I like the best. But yeah, basically, you know, Ada sort of confirming here at the beginning of the chapter that it was indeed Amato that did plant the karma cell back on Kawaki when he reconstructed his arm, which seems to be all part of Amato's plan. We still don't know what his plan is, but it seems like whatever this whole thing is with the karma cell, it's aligning with Amato's plan. Might be something with making like a mini Ishiki, as they kind of described it, and it's very concerning. Basically, it's like he knew Kawaki would want that power, and all Kawaki had to do was just, you know, motivate himself to want it. So I found that very interesting. But yeah, Kawaki's dojutsu, very clean. Very clean. It's like he has like 4 of those triangles on his eye. Doesn't have the full thing, which makes sense, right? He's 80% Ishiki, so I wouldn't expect him to have the whole entire thing right now. But yeah, you know, he can do everything. He can do the black rods, he can do the cubes, he can strength himself, he can do all of those things with Ishiki's powers now. And it's kind of interesting how, even though Kawaki had the Karma Cell before, him reawakening the Karma Cell allowed him to tap into these new powers to where he can now activate the dojutsu as well and get a power boost at the same time. And I found it very interesting because there was a scene to where Kawaki was dropping these things out of this pocket dimension, and he even dropped something from the pillars from where Kashin Koji and Ashiki were fighting. If you remember in the Kashin Koji and Ashiki fight, there were some pillars that were hanging around, and Ashiki ended up taking up some and putting them into another dimension. Kawaki actually summoned one of those pillars into the battlefield and used it here. So I thought that was very cool that even though Ashiki is gone, you know, those things in that pocket dimension still exist. And I want to touch on this really quick, and this is one of my theories that I started to develop, but then I looked back into the chapter and it didn't seem like it was possible for this to happen. But you know, apparently that pocket dimension allows you to store anything that's like inanimate, pretty much any objects. And I went back and it seemed like living people cannot be put into that dimension, but I wonder if Kawaki would actually end up putting Naruto in that dimension if he figured out a way to put Naruto there. I'm not too sure, because in that dimension time doesn't flow, and they said that living humans cannot be there, but I wonder if there is some sort of way to work around that. And I think I want to develop that theory a little bit more and possibly come up with some things. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting how he was able to access that pocket dimension during this fight. But you know, there's a scene here to where Naruto is talking to Kawaki and he's like, how far are you willing to go? And Kawaki's just saying, hey, I'll do what needs to be done for you. And it's very toxic because like Kawaki has only known Naruto for a short amount of time and he's already getting attached to him. Kind of sees him as like a savior in a way, that Naruto pretty much got him out of a bad place, pretty much saved his life and changed his life around. And so Kawaki in a way sort of feels like he's in debt to Naruto, and that's why he's going so far to do these things. So it's gonna be crazy if Kawaki's gonna be doing some bad things in the future just to protect Naruto. We had the two get to fighting. We see a little bit of Ashiki's shrinking abilities, and then we get the classic clash where Borushiki comes up with a Rasengan. Kawaki comes up with his hand, which I thought was interesting. He didn't have anything in his hand, just his hand. And yeah, the two clash. Kawaki sort of overpowers him, it seems like. And this is where the pillars from that other dimension came up, and Kawaki has summoned some of them here. But when the fight really started to turn around was when Boruto started to wake back up again. And at that moment, Kawaki was able to subdue Boruto just for a little bit. And he actually tried to throw a cube on top of Boruto, but this is where Naruto, of course, steps in and tries to save Boruto from the cube, which he does. But yeah, Code kind of goes back on his promise of killing Shikamaru, but pretty much says that there's no point in killing him now, and he's just gonna kind of wait and see. But yeah, Naruto's like, yo, this kid is crazy, like, have you lost your mind? And he's kind of seeing that Kawaki is a little bit messed up now, and Kawaki's just like, you can't do it yourself, so I have to do it for you. And Kawaki here is not thinking straight. He's, like I said, he just does whatever he thinks is best for Naruto and doesn't really care what Naruto has to say about it. So that's when we switch to a scene with Boruto and Kawaki talking about their last resort plan, because the pills don't seem like they're working all the way and that Momoshiki can still take control of him. So this is where we see the scene to where Kawaki impales Boruto right through the chest. Man, he gave him like the Garo treatment, the way he punched him in the chest. But yeah, Boruto is now laid out on the floor with a hole in his chest and is about to die. Man, this chapter was crazy. This chapter was crazy. I said it 3 times, but this chapter was crazy. They're going into some interesting directions with this chapter, and I really like it a lot. Kawaki's super strong. Kawaki's super strong. With that dojutsu, I can't imagine how strong he's gonna get moving forward into the time skip. But yeah, it seems like Kawaki's going to be doing a lot more risky stuff like this, to where, hey, Naruto, you're not listening to me, I'm just gonna do it for you. And man, Naruto might have to come to a point to where Naruto puts his hands up against Kawaki, and Kawaki's like, I'm just gonna send you somewhere because you don't know what's best for you. I think that's kind of where the story is going in right now. But you know, one of the things that kind of sucks about knowing what happens in the first episode is that even though Boruto is currently dying right now, we kind of already know that Boruto is not going to die because of that first episode. But at the same time, it is kind of good to have that first episode because it allows us to sort of think of ways that Boruto could potentially get out of the situation. I've seen a lot of things from, hey, Boruto gets the Jogan, somehow awakens. I could possibly see that. We still don't know what all the Jogan abilities are, and this would be a nice way to introduce it into the manga. I don't know, maybe Toneri comes out of nowhere. Oh look, Toneri gets introduced into the manga and something happens. Boom. I've even seen this idea where people were talking about, what if he put the Karma Seal on Sasuke and that's why he has a cape in the beginning, because he resurrected in Sasuke's body? That would be a very interesting idea too. And honestly, a lot of those situations could actually happen with how this story has been going so far. Whatever situation is going to be, it's either going to be him being healed or him being resurrected in some shape or form. But as it stands right now, Boruto is currently about to die. I feel like if Sarada was here, and this would be a really good opportunity for like a Mai Genko Sharingan, maybe something like that. Maybe Boruto actually does die for a little bit, but you know, they save his life somehow. That would be a really nice way to introduce, you know, the Mai Genko Sharingan and to kind of see just how Sarada's character develops moving forward. But man, I just gotta say that this was, you know, an excellent chapter. I do think that they're going into the right direction with this. I think this year is going to be really good for Boruto manga content in particular, because we're finally getting to like the juicy stuff with this whole arc. And I think we're gonna finally see Sasuke's introduction next chapter. I kind of expected him to be in this chapter. It's still surprising to me that he has still not shown up, and they're not even that far away from the Leaf Village, which is kind of crazy. So maybe Sasuke can like do his job and show up for once, but who knows at this point, right? So yeah, we're into to see how this kind of goes. Kawashiki is a menace. Kawaki's gonna end up getting some bodies in the future. I'm telling y'all, Kawaki's racking up bodies in the near future, because when it comes to Naruto, he does not play around, and I could definitely see him killing some people just for the heck of it if he wants to. But anyways, hope you guys did enjoy the review. Let me know what you guys thought about the chapter. How do you guys feel about the whole Borushiki versus Kawashiki fight? How do you think that Boruto will resurrect or get healed, or whatever the case may be? How do you think he's gonna fix that gaping hole in his chest right now? And how do you feel about Amato secretly restoring the karma on Kawaki? And we gotta remember one thing, there's still an ace in the hole. There's still a cyborg that is being developed right now in the Leaf Village that we have no idea about and could appear at any moment. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and join the Discord, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.